Today we decided to make something just a little bit healthier. We're going to make a beef and broccoli stir fry. This is an extremely simple recipe. Let's show you how we do it here. What we've got here is we've got 1 pound of sirloin steak. To that we're going to top it with 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. Now we've trimmed all the fat off the steak and we've cut it against the grain to make sure it's nice and tender. We're going to let this soak in a marinade that we're going to make, and it's going to take soak for about 30 minutes. To that marinade, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of sesame seed oil, 2 teaspoons of low sodium soy sauce. Now if you enjoy these recipes, please take a moment to like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it, and leave some comments so we know how you enjoy them. We're going to do 3 teaspoons of rice wine vinegar, and then we're also going to do 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Give that a nice little whisk. And we're going to put all of our meat in it. And we're going to let this set out at room temperature as it marinates. Just going to take our hands and get it dirty. We want to make sure that all of our meat is nice and coated. So we're going to pick up that flavor, and while that's marinated, we're going to go ahead and get started on our broccoli. For our broccoli, we've got roughly 4 cups of boiling water here. We've taken a broccoli floret and we've cut it into pieces. We want to get 4 cups of broccoli. Let's stick that in our hot water, and we're going to cook that for roughly 45 seconds to 1 minute. All you want to do is get it started cooking, but we don't want to cook it all the way through. And when we get put in the cold water, that process is to get it to stop cooking. Alright, they smell really good. I love the smell of fresh vegetables, especially when they're cooking. There's just a little bit more time. Asian foods are some of our favorite foods. If you haven't watched our recipes on the orange chicken or the general chicken or the cashew chicken, go check them out. I'll list them in the description below. Our orange chicken is just absolutely amazing. Made with that fresh orange juice. It's got so much flavor to it. Alright, we're going to go ahead and turn our heat off. We're going to take our scoop here, drain them, hot water, and place that into our cold water. Next, we're going to start cooking our steak. We're now going to get started on cooking our meat. I put our heat on medium, or for us is 6. We're going to start off with putting 2 teaspoons of our sesame seed oil in our pan. Sesame seed oil, it gives such a nice flavor to everything. And to that, we're just going to scoot that around just a little bit. And we're going to put all of our meat in there. Spread it out, and what we want to try to do is cook it as long as we can on one side before we turn it. And that'll take just a couple of minutes. So it's smoothed out. Alright, our meat has finished cooking. We're going to take it and stick it in a pan over here, a dish. That's just a little bit. Alright, we're going to turn this down just a little bit to a 4. And to this we're going to add another teaspoon of our sesame seed oil. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of garlic. On our green onions, we're taking 4 green onions and we're going to chop them into roughly 1/2 inch to 1 inch pieces. We're going to take the white parts and stick that in there. And 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. If you want to use fresh, you can use fresh. You just want to make sure that you chop it up, and you will use 1/2 teaspoon if you use fresh. And then we got a nice mix. We're going to let that cook for roughly 30 seconds or so. Just enough to soften, to bloom the little flavors out of the garlic and the ginger. Get the green onions started to cook. Alright, to that we're going to add back our broccoli. Get as much of our broccoli, drain that broccoli as much of the water as we can out of it. This way it's allowed to start picking up some of that sesame seed oil taste. We're now going to add 3 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce. One tablespoon of oyster sauce. To give it a little sweetness, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of firmly packed brown sugar. We're going to cook this for about 30 seconds to a minute or so. Begin to see that mixture on the bottom start to thicken up. And this is a good time to take your spatula and whatever little crumbs you have on the bottom, scrape them up just a little bit. It's just going to add a lot of extra flavor to your broccoli. This down. That's what's always so deceiving when you're cooking. You see all those little brown spots. You're like, I'm burning it, but you're really not if you're very careful. It's actually just a lot of extra flavor that you're going to add back to it. We're going to let this thicken for just a second, and then we're going to add our meat. We're just going to... It's really good. All right, let's go ahead and add back in our steak. We're going to let this cook probably for another minute or so, and then we're going to go ahead and start our, we're going to put some rice in the microwave, and we're going to serve it. Alright, our sauce is just thickened up just a little bit. It's just take a couple of minutes. To that, we're going to add the rest of our green onions. Like I said earlier, we took 4 green onions, chopped them into 1-inch pieces. This is the green part. Throw that in there. Mix it in. We're going to stick that on some rice, and we're going to enjoy a great lunch. If you enjoy these recipes, like I said earlier, please take a moment to like and subscribe.